My name is Brandy Schaefer, and this is my PowerPoint on the Special Senses case study. The objectives of this PowerPoint is to identify and describe the senses that would be used. It will explain why each sense is important in this case, and the senses that are going to be used are sight, hearing, touch, smell, proprioception, and vestibular sensation. The case summary. In this case, a bicyclist is on a high-traffic road and is approaching an intersection with a four-way stop and railroad tracks. There are 3 cars in the other lanes of the intersection, and visibility is decreased because of foggy weather. The first sense used is going to be the sense of sight. Anatomy of the eye. There are 3 layers in the eye: the fibrous layer, the vascular layer, and the neural layer. In the fibrous layer, the cornea is the clear part of the front of the eye that covers the pupil and the iris. It's along with the sclera, which is the outer white part of the eye, makes up the fibrous. The vascular layer contains the iris, the pupil, the choroid, and the ciliary body. The iris, which determines eye color, lies above and below the pupil, basically surrounding it. The choroid is a layer of blood vessels lining the back of the eye between the sclera and the retina, and the ciliary body contains the eye muscles and is behind the iris. The third layer is the neural layer. This is the innermost layer of the eye, and it contains the retina. The retina itself contains the photoreceptor cells, the fovea centralis, the macula lutea, and the optic disc. Another important structure of the eye is the lens, which is located behind the iris and is held up by the suspensory ligaments. And finally, the eye is divided into 2 cavities, anterior and posterior. The anterior cavity is further subdivided into anterior and posterior chambers and is filled with aqueous humor, while the posterior cavity is filled with vitreous humor, which helps maintain the shape of the eyeball. How the eye works. The eye is often described like a camera, with the cornea being the camera lens, the iris acting like the diaphragm, and the retina like the image sensor of the camera. In the eye, the light passes through the cornea to the lens, where it focuses light rays onto the retina. The retina absorbs the light, converts it to a nerve impulse, which is transferred along the optic nerve to the brain to be processed. During this process, the iris and pupil control how much light is sent to the retina. When it's dark, the pupils will dilate to allow more light in, and when it's light, they're smaller to let less light in. The lens in the eye helps to bring the images into focus. The visual pathways in the central nervous system allow people to see the physical characteristics of an object along with how fast they are moving and which way it's moving, and it allows a person to gauge the distance of an object. For this case study, vision would allow the bicyclist to see that it is a 4-way stop, to see the position of the other vehicles, and to see if a train is coming. Hearing is the second sense that is used in the case study. Anatomy of the ear. The ear is divided into 3 parts: the outer ear, the middle ear, and the inner ear. The outer ear has the auricle, which is the visible part outside, and the external auditory canal, which connects the outer ear to the middle ear. The tympanic membrane, more commonly known as the eardrum, is a thin layer of tissue that divides the outer ear from the middle ear. Next is the middle ear, which consists of the ossicles, 3 small connected bones called the malleus, incus, and stapes, and the eustachian, 2. The ossicles are the smallest bones in the body and are joined by synovial joints, creating a bridge to span the middle ear. The malleus also connects to the tympanic membrane, while the stapes is connected to the oval window, which separates the middle ear from the inner ear. The eustachian tube connects the middle ear with the back of the nose and helps equalize the pressure in the middle ear. The inner ear consists of the cochlea, which is involved in hearing, the vestibule, and the semicircular canals, both of which are involved with balance. How the ear works. When a sound occurs outside of the ear, sound waves enter the outer ear, travel down the external auditory canal and reaches the eardrum. When the sound waves hit the eardrum, it vibrates, and those vibrations are passed on to the ossicles. The ossicles amplify the sound vibrations and pass them on to the cochlea in the inner ear, causing the fluid in the cochlea to ripple. This ripple travels along hair cells in the cochlea, causing stereocilia to bend, which opens potassium ion channels. These ions depolarize the hair cell, which releases neurotransmitters and creates an electrical signal. The auditory nerve carries the electrical signal to the brain, where it is processed into sounds that we can recognize. Hearing is important in this case study because the bicyclist must listen for other cars that may not see the stop sign. He must also listen for a train coming since there are railroad tracks there. The third sense that would be used in this case study is touch. The anatomy of touch. The peripheral nervous system has a sensory function that gathers information from the outside environment. Called the somatic sensory division, it uses sensory receptors in the skin to recognize such things as touch, pain, hot or cold, and wet or dry conditions. When the sensory receptors are stimulated, they send that information via electrical pulses to neurons, which continue to relay that information to other neurons by way of synapses to the spinal cord. The spinal cord will then take that electrical signal and send it to the brain where it can be processed. There are 4 major types of tactile sensory receptors, all of which will respond to different touch sensations. These include Merkel's discs, which are found in the upper layers of the skin and respond to light touch, Meissner's corpuscles, which are in the upper dermis going into the epidermis and respond to light touch and pressure and to low-frequency vibration and flutter. Ruffini endings are found in the dermis and detect skin stretch and joint deformations, such as when your hands move. This lets the brain know when the hands are gripping objects and also helps to control finger position and finger movement. And finally, Pacinian corpuscles, which are located in the deep dermis and sense deep, quick pressure along with high-frequency vibration. In this case study, touch is important because it enables the bicyclist to ride his bike, to feel and control the handlebars and the brakes, and to stay on his seat. It also allows him to put his feet on the ground at the stop and feel any vibrations in the ground, which can tell him if there is another vehicle or a train coming. The 4th sense in this case study is smell. Smell begins in the olfactory epithelium where outside odorants are detected. This epithelium is found in the nasal cavity and contains olfactory neurons called chemoreceptors. Each of these neurons have cilia, and the axons of these neurons are grouped together to form the olfactory nerve. To transmit odorants, the cilia sends them to the axons, which synapse with other neurons in the olfactory bulb. The olfactory bulb then transmits the axons down the olfactory tract to the primary olfactory cortex and to the limbic system. Smell is the only sense that bypasses the thalamus and goes straight to the olfactory cortex, which is where the identification of odor takes place. The olfactory bulb is connected directly to the limbic system, including the amygdala and hippocampus, which are responsible for emotions and memories, respectively. Because of this, smells have a much stronger link to emotion and memories than any other sense. In this case study, smell is relevant because the bicyclist will be outside where there are many different smells. He'll smell like the dirt and the asphalt that he's riding on, the exhaust from the other vehicles around him, and he might even be able to smell the wet that is in the fog surrounding him. Our 5th sense that we're going to look at is proprioception. This is the sense of movement, and it relies on internal stimuli rather than external. It also does not rely on any of the 5 senses for information. The easiest explanation is that, according to Elizabeth Quinn, it is the sense of knowing your body's relative position in space. Proprioception allows a person to know where their limbs are at all times and to keep their center of gravity. Proprioception relies on the vestibule and the semicircular structures in the inner ear and the muscles in the body to all work together in order to maintain center of gravity, stance, and body movements. It also involves sensory receptors called proprioceptors found on the nerve endings of muscles, skin, joints, certain tissues, and the inner ear. These receptors send their information to the brain, allowing it to know where the body's spatial position is. Although it does not rely on them to know where the body is, the sensory receptors use exteroceptors and mechanoreceptors to feel touch, vibration, pressure, temperature, and pain. And then these stimuli are what are responsible for many of our movements and reflexes. In this case study, proprioception is required for the bicyclist to ride his bike and to keep it upright. It allows him to know that he is pumping the pedals of the bike and turning the handlebars to keep the bike on the road. And it is also important in that it allows him to know where he is at in relation to the other traffic. The final sense in this case study is vestibular sensation. The anatomy of vestibular sensation. It is responsible for equilibrium, motion, and orientation. The structures that make up the vestibular system are found in the inner ear and are the semicircular canals and the vestibule. Sight and proprioception are the senses that are also used to achieve equilibrium. Without the balance that the vestibular sensation gives, a person would not be able to determine the direction and speed of movements, such as an object coming toward us. Nor would they actually be able to see clearly while moving, or be able to maintain posture to stay upright and to not fall over. The inner ear detects two types of equilibrium, static and dynamic. The vestibule is responsible for static equilibrium, which is the ability to maintain balance when the body is stationary, but the head is tilted. It also plays a role in dynamic equilibrium, just a small one. Inside the vestibule are the utricle and saccule, both of which are used to detect head tilt and linear movement, like going forward. The utricle and saccule each have a macula that contains hair cells which contain stereocilia and one cilium called a kinocilium embedded in the otolithic membrane, which is a gelatinous fluid. When the head tilts or linear acceleration occurs, the otolithic membrane is displaced, causing the stereocilia and the kinocilium to bend. This bending movement causes depolarization and then quick repolarization of the hair cells, which sends signals to the vestibular nerve, and that tells the central nervous system what the head and the body are doing. In dynamic equilibrium, the semicircular ducts are responsible for the majority of that. And this is the ability to maintain balance when the head or body is rotating or is in motion or in a linear acceleration. There are three ducts which allow for rotation or movement detection, which covers all three planes. A swelling in each duct, called the ampulla, contains a group of hair cells called the crista ampullaris, which also contains stereocilia and kinocilium in the cupula, which is another gelatinous fluid. When rotation or movement occurs, the cupula has pressure put on it, which causes the stereocilia and the kinocilium to bend. Much like with the vestibule, this bending causes depolarization and quick repolarization of the hair cells, which sends signals to the vestibular nerve and then on to the central nervous system. In this case study, vestibular sensation would be a very important part of the bicyclist's senses because it would allow him to have control of his body and movements. It also allows him to gauge whether there are any objects coming toward him that might put him in danger. It allows him to move his body and to ride his bike without being dizzy or off balance. And it would also allow him to rotate his head and look around at his environment without having blurry vision, since one of its things that it does is to stabilize everything. And then he can clearly see what is around him. And my last slide is just the reference slide. And that is my PowerPoint for this case study.